I'm Alex Zane, and welcome to Cinema Surgery's Movie Dose, your weekly roundup of all the big stories doing the rounds in Movieland. On this week's episode, we are talking about the brand new teaser trailer that just landed this week for Alien Earth, the upcoming Alien series out in 2025, and what this new teaser tells us about the story. As well as that, Christopher Nolan adds another big name to his upcoming movie to an already stellar cast list. Plus, some rumors abound about what the film might be about. As well as that, Dan Trachtenberg talks about his brand new Predator movie, Predator Badlands, the follow-up to Prey, and makes an astonishing revelation about the protagonist. Finally, should we be excited about Avengers Secret Wars? Well, according to Kevin Feige, unsurprisingly, yes, we should. That's all coming up on this week's Movie Dose. And don't forget, if you like this video, please hit the like button and do subscribe so we can keep making more of them. And also speak your brain in the comments below. Right, let's start with Alien Earth. And this week we got our first official teaser trailer for the upcoming 2025 Disney TV series from showrunner Noah Hawley, responsible for the brilliant anthology that is Fargo. I'm excited. The new trailer, well, it's exactly the same almost to the leaked teaser trailer we got in the middle of this year that was screened before Alien Romulus in US theaters and made its way online. The globe reflected in the shiny dome of a xenomorph. However, this official teaser trailer does include some new information, including when this series is going to take place. I'll tell you more about that in a moment and why it's very interesting. Let me start by saying on a personal level, I am very, very excited about Alien Earth. I kind of need it to be good after Alien Romulus was such a huge disappointment. I know a lot of people liked it, and I'm not going to turn this into a rant about why Alien Romulus was not good. But for me, personally, I just thought a series of unmemorable, unlikable characters, David Johnson's synthetic Andy aside, who is the best thing in the movie, from the fact that it just lacked any tension, any scares. I mean, you look at Aliens. In the lab, in Aliens, Ripley and Newt are hunted by two facehuggers, and it's petrifying. In this, we get a room full of facehuggers with characters walking through it. It's not even scary. You don't even break a sweat. And finally, I mean, enough has been said on this, but please get away from her, you bitch. That has to go down as possibly the worst ever example of a movie paying homage to a previous film in its franchise ever. It's just an embarrassment that line is in the film. It's up there with 2016's Ghostbusters, where Dan Aykroyd's cab driver, I think he is, actually says the line, "I ain't afraid of no ghost." A line that isn't even in any of the previous Ghostbusters movies, is in fact in the song that accompanied the first Ghostbusters film. It's up there with that. I mean, just, I know I said I wasn't going to turn it into one, but come on, let's just think about the logic. You know, why trample over one of Ripley's greatest lines in Aliens when she says, "Get away from her, you bitch"? It's amazing. It's amazing. And now when you watch that, what's the logic? That Ripley just happens to say something an android said 30 years earlier, word for word. Okay, so that's Alien Romulus. But look, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, plus, $350 million at the box office. It's a success critically at the box office. And that means what? That means we get more Alien movies, which I am happy about. Weirdly, I'd rather see a bad Alien movie than no Alien movie. And Fede Alvarez is a great director. And hopefully this sequel that is already in the works to Alien Romulus will put originality at its core. Because look, just look at the other Alien films. Those first four: Alien, a haunted house movie in space; B, Aliens, James Cameron, a Vietnam-inspired sci-fi action movie; 3, David Fincher, the assembly cut is actually a good film, and also the nihilism, the bleakness, and then even Alien Resurrection. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, he stamped his mark on it. It had his French sensibilities, his French sense of humor, and I think most of the problems with Alien Resurrection are most likely to do with Joss Whedon's quip-heavy script, which just doesn't sit well in the Alien universe. My point being that those four films, by those four filmmakers, each have a unique vision within the Alien universe. They've stamped their mark on it. Those are their movies, even though Fincher would probably not agree. There's enough of him in the assembly cut that makes you go, that's a Fincher movie. They're very unique. How many franchises have 4 different filmmakers that stamp their mark so successfully on a movie? And then you come to Alien Romulus and it's what? It's a greatest hits. It's a best of. It's just not the movie that we wanted in the Alien series. Does the Alien series need its own Force Awakens? Does it need its own Ghostbusters Afterlife? I don't think so. Rant over. I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but so let's turn to more positive things right now and Alien Earth. So firstly, Noah Hawley has delivered as showrunner one of the best anthology series we've had on TV in a long time in Fargo. So immediately you feel like you're in safe hands. Even more importantly than that, for as long as I can remember, myself, Alien fans, we've all wanted to see xenomorphs running amok on Earth, and we are finally there. Earth has been so tantalizingly close in Aliens. Ripley's on the Gateway Station. Earth is in the background. Then, of course, at the end of Alien Resurrection, we do end up on a sort of grim-looking, scorched Paris with a derelict Eiffel Tower. It's not the Earth any of us really wanted to see Ripley returning to, and it isn't even the original ending Joss Whedon wrote. The original ending that Joss Whedon wrote, well, there were one of about 3. Ripley was actually going to fight the newborn on Earth in a forest at one point, then in a junkyard, and then in a, believe it or not, there was going to be a fight with the newborn in a maternity ward. All of those endings got scrapped and the newborn gets sucked out of the window for budget reasons, obviously. But nevertheless, we did get a glimpse of Earth there, but that's not the Earth we wanted. This is hopefully going to be the Earth we want. As far as his reasons for setting it on Earth go, Noah Hawley said the following. The alien stories are always trapped in a prison, trapped in a spaceship. I thought it would be interesting to open it up a little bit so that the stakes of what happens if you can't contain it are more immediate. Yep, sold on that. That's what I wanted all along. Xenomorphs running amok on Earth can't be contained. Brilliant. So the plot that we know for Alien Earth so far is this. When a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman, played by Sydney Chandler, and a ragtag group of tactical soldiers make a fateful discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threat. So on top of that, we know that Chandler's character is a metahuman called Wendy, who is the body of an adult, but the mind of a child. I mean, it sounds a little bit like Andy in Romulus, before he gets his upgrade, but that's no bad thing. As I said, Andy, played by David Johnson, being the best thing in Alien Romulus. We also know it stars Kit Young as a character called Tootles. Kit Young is a brilliant actor. He just picked up a Scottish BAFTA this week for his performance in the excellent Out of Darkness. That's a plus. And also a man who I have been in love with ever since I first saw him in Doug Liman's Go. Timothy Olyphant is in this, which can only be a good thing. Now, here is the new information that comes from this brand new official teaser trailer. Alien Earth is going to be set in 2120. Now, there was a lot of conversation online where people thought it was going to be set at the end of the 21st century, but no. We are looking at 2120, so that's almost 30 years after the events of Prometheus, which Noah Hawley is largely ignoring, a lot of it for aesthetic reasons by the sounds of things. He doesn't like the fact that the tech in Prometheus is so much more advanced than the tech that we see in Alien. He likes the retro futurism of Alien and Aliens, and that's what he wants in Alien Earth. That makes sense to me. I love it. Even more excitingly, 2120, Alien fans will know that Alien and the events on the Nostromo took place in 2122, which means we have the tantalizing prospect, whether it happens or not, who knows, the tantalizing prospect of seeing the launch of the Nostromo from Earth on its mission that begins the events in Alien. Is a maybe. Beyond that, the only new images in the trailer are some very quick flashes of what look like alien biomatter and one of a jet black eye staring out from some pale flesh belonging to some unknown creature. From what I can tell, having paused that frame, it's not an engineer. Sadly, the new official teaser doesn't expand on any of the images that we saw in that Disney Plus coming up in 2025 promo, which featured some lush landscape of Earth in the future, very different to the desolate landscape at the end of Alien Resurrection. Nor does it feature any more shots of that corridor spaceship base. Who knows, with the flashing red light? We don't see anything more of the soldiers emerging from the water armed, and neither do we find out anything more about that line that is in that Disney Plus promo. This ship collected specimens from a distant moon. All that we'll have to wait for with a full trailer whenever that emerges. But for now, color us here at Cinema Surgery excited. But are you? Let us know in the comments. Right then, in other news, another big name has been added to the already stacked cast of Christopher Nolan's new, as yet untitled, plot unknown movie. Robert Pattinson, who he last worked with, of course, on Tenet, has joined the cast that already includes Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o, Tom Holland, and Zendaya. It's looking pretty good. Is it as stacked as Oppenheimer? Maybe not yet, but it's getting that way. Nolan is very much staying at Universal for this movie. Obviously, we all know he fell out hard with Warner Brothers around the release of Tenet because of their new release model of putting films straight on streaming around the end of the pandemic, and he wanted Tenet to be a cinema release, not a streaming release. It's Nolan. Of course he did. Now, apparently, last month it was reported Warner Brothers sent a 7-figure apology to Nolan, back pay for the fees they asked him to waive to give Tenet its cinema release. Whether that softened the blow, I don't know. Certainly not for this immediate movie, because just a few days after that story broke about Warner's apology, Universal announced that we are looking at July the 17th, 2026 for Nolan's next film. Rumors abound about what it's about. So far, there's two theories as to what Nolan's new movie is about. One, it's a vampire thriller. No more than that. That's it. No, it's a vampire thriller. But it could also be a helicopter action movie. I don't know. I don't know what that is. It seems like an odd sentence. What's Christopher Nolan's next movie? It's a helicopter action movie. Oh, what now? What's one of those? But I think what we can glean from both those ideas is that no one knows. No one has any idea. And indeed, insiders have said nothing has come close to nailing Nolan's real idea. That's a shame. I'd quite like to see a helicopter action movie. The one thing we can say, though, and this is very personal to me, is that we are getting further and further away from my dream of Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson and Eon just giving Nolan a blank check and going, will you just make 3 James Bond movies, your James Bond trilogy, cast who you want, it's all yours, go for it. Maybe cast Robert Pattinson. I honestly think a trilogy of Nolan-directed Bond movies with Robert Pattinson as 007, that would be good. I'd like to see that, and of course we won't. Personally, I think Nolan has scratched his Bond itch with Tenet and to a certain extent Inception. And as well as that, Robert Pattinson has scratched his big franchise itch with Batman. So I think that's off the cards. But hey, if you're going to dream big. Big news for Predator fans this week, as the director of Prey, Dan Trachtenberg, has provided some news about his new Predator movie, Predator Badlands, which is currently in production in New Zealand. Now, this film marks only the first time in history a director has been at the helm of 2 movies set in the Predator universe. And he had a lot to say about it in an interview with Empire this week. Now, before I get to that interview, we know this movie is now set in the future. I, like a lot of people, when I heard Predator Badlands, had assumed it was going to be set in the Wild West. Badlands, Wild West, one and the same. But no, that's not the case, which makes sense. The painful painful, disturbing, horrifying memories of cowboys and aliens probably mean there will never be another Alien in the Wild West movie. Prey was pre the Wild West, before you get pedantic with me. We also know that unlike Prey, which went straight onto Hulu despite having so much cinematic quality, Predator Badlands is getting a cinema release, which is a good thing. Alien Romulus, I know I was bad-mouthing it earlier, but what it did prove is there is a huge appetite for sci-fi at the cinema. That's a good thing. On top of all that, we know that Predator Badlands is, while it's the follow-up to Prey, not a direct sequel to Prey. It is its own standalone Predator movie, although apparently the next movie in the Predator series after Predator Badlands will be Prey 2. So that story is going to continue, just not with Predator Badlands. But the big news then this week, Dan Trachtenberg did an interview with Empire magazine in which he talked a lot about the Predator itself and how the Predator is different in Predator Badlands in so much as it is not the antagonist, it is the protagonist. The Predator, by the sounds of things, is the hero in this movie. Now, a lot of outlets ran with the headline, "The Predator is the good guy?" ? But let's actually just take a look at what Dan Trachtenberg actually said. The creature is front and center, leading the charge. He's still badass, and there's something there that touches you emotionally too, creating a character you connect with, but are also super intimidated by, has been challenging, but exciting. We wanted to find another essential piece of cinema that does what Prey did spiritually, pushing the franchise's boundaries, letting us root for a hero we rarely get to root for, but in a different way. And that transformed into this big idea of rooting for the Predator. So, yeah, I mean, rooting for the Predator does suggest, certainly he's our protagonist, but he's the good guy. We feel for him emotionally. I don't know where that leaves the human characters in this. Twin sisters, both roles being played by Elle Fanning. One very naive, the other militant and on a mission that she's desperately focused on. I can't see them being the bad guys. I don't really know what this means. I'm not totally averse to it. We have seen Predators being goodish guys before. You look at the first Alien versus Predator movie. Obviously, the Predator at the end of that teamed up with the human, but they teamed up because they had an even bigger bad in the xenomorphs that they had to take down. So, okay, that's one. Predator, Alien versus Predator, Requiem. That Predator's not that bad. He's certainly not out on a sports hunt. He's there to exterminate the aliens again. But once again, you're dealing with xenomorphs. You've got a bigger bad than the Predator. Here, I just don't know. But for anyone who is going, I'm not into this, Predator, is bad. He's bad. Just like the original Predator. For all of us who grew up in the 80s, the original Predator, just a badass, evil, killing machine, would rather blow up the jungle than die at Arnie's hands. I think there is an example of where a movie took a fundamentally evil character or villainous character and just switched it round. It was a little movie called Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So with that in mind, this could be a great thing. I enjoyed Prey a lot. I've got faith. Dan Trachtenberg's a brilliant director. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Thought it was awesome. So if there's someone who can sell me on a Predator that I'm emotionally invested in the story arc of more than the humans, let's do it. But what do you think? Is having a good Predator a good thing? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, some big news from the MCU, from the big man himself, Kevin Feige, regarding the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars. He was speaking at a Disney content conference in Singapore, and he had the following to say. The whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into a new age of mutants and of the X-Men. Again, one of those dreams come true. We finally have the X-Men back. So, for a bit of context, Secret Wars was Marvel Comics' first big crossover event. 12 issues that brought together some of the most iconic heroes and villains, ran from May 1984 to April 1985. It was the likes of Spider-Man, the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four fighting against villains like Doctor Doom, Magneto, Ultron, and Galactus. So, in terms of scale, this is going to be big, like potentially bigger than Endgame big, which is exciting. I just hope by that point, Marvel have generated enough intrigue and genuine passion in the audience for these characters and the story they're telling that the movie delivers not just on scale, but emotionally as well. On a personal level, I'm thrilled the X-Men are back in the MCU. I mean, for me, X2 is still one of my top 5 superhero movies of all time. I know we've already had Wolverine back, Hugh Jackman in Deadpool and Wolverine. And of course, Channing Tatum finally getting to inhabit the role of Gambit. I don't know that Tatum will be back as Gambit. I know everyone's really divided online because everyone loved him in that, but they're not sure that going forward, he's potentially the right person to inhabit the role of Gambit. And as far as Hugh Jackman goes, obviously, with all the love in the world for Hugh Jackman and with Deadpool's words echoing round my head from Deadpool and Wolverine, where he says they're going to have you playing this role until you're 90, I think potentially if there was a time to recast all the X-Men, now is that time. Casting wise, I don't know. Glenn Powell as Cyclops, maybe. Cosmo Jarvis as Wolverine, maybe. A lot of people online seem to want Daniel Radcliffe, which I find quite strange, and Tom Hardy, which I'm not sure about either. Love Tom Hardy. I just don't see it happening. But what do you think? That's me starting the ball rolling. Let's hear your thoughts for who you'd like to see cast as the various X-Men in Secret Wars. And that is your dose of movie news from us here at Cinema Surgery this week. Now, as I said at the start, if you want to see more of these videos, if you liked what you saw, please do subscribe and hit that like button. And also, do let us know any thoughts you have on any of the stories we've covered in the comments section below. Until next time, bye-bye.